All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Carlo Aguinaldo,
And I'm Lizzie, Knoll.
and this is our PBL project, How Music Affects Physiology. So, the effects of music, this is through a physiological lens. Music oftentimes can make or break a person's day. There's no secret that music can impact a person mentally and spiritually. But how can music affect a person physically? Today, we will dive into how music, a simple perception of sound frequency, can majorly impact a person's physiology. Here's some physical facts. So listening to relaxing or slow-paced music tends to lower heart rate and blood pressure, while fast-paced or upbeat music does the contrary. It also affects breathing patterns, with slower tempos showing that slower or deeper breaths may occur. Music can also reduce the perception of pain and improve overall pain management. This is due to many factors, including distraction, endorphin release, and activation of different brain regions. There are also hormonal effects. Music can trigger the release of endorphins, which is the body's natural painkillers and mood elevators. Listening to music, especially in social settings, can also release oxytocin, which is the hormone associated with social bonding and trust. There are also several emotional, therapeutic, and psychological effects of listening to music. It can significantly alter and regulate your mood. For example, upbeat and lively music can enhance a person's happiness and energy levels, while slow and melancholic music can evoke feelings of sadness or relaxation, allowing individuals to process feelings such as sadness, joy, and anger. All in all, calming music can lower cortisol levels, which is a stress hormone. There are also cognitive and neurological effects. For example, melodic and rhythmic patterns can aid in recall and retention of info. Background music, specifically classical music, enhances concentration or productivity during tasks that require mental effort. And music activates different areas of the brain, which can stimulate creative thinking and problem-solving capabilities. So who does music affect? Essentially, anyone who listens to music. According to the Nielsen Music 360, around 90 to 93% of the world's population listens to music. That is around 7.2 to 7.44 billion people. So the problem relevance, why is this issue important? Music is so important because it's easily accessible to the entire world with literally the click of a button or opening a simple app such as Spotify, YouTube, or TikTok. With something so easily accessible like this, it's important to understand the effects that it can have in one's body. So knowing how music can positively affect your physiology will allow you to utilize it to your advantage and possibly make your life easier, even down to the cellular level. This was a study that we found interesting. It's a study on how music affects plant growth. So playing music promotes the growth of plants. And although plants don't have ears, sound waves stimulate the plant cells. And this encourages nutrients to move throughout the plant body. And this promotes new growth and strengthening their immune systems. Surprisingly, some genres of music promotes growth, while other genres can be damaging to the plants. For example, did you know that roses specifically love violin music? In general, most plants increase in growth listening to classical or jazz music, while harsher music like metal music can cause stress. This is possibly due to too intense vibrations. If music can affect an organism as simple as a plant without ears, imagine the effects of music on the human body.
So, what systems of the body does music influence? Especially in our body, the auditory system, the nervous system, the cardiovascular system, the musculoskeletal system, endocrine system, and respiratory system are all areas of the body that music does influence. And continuing on, here is a fun graphic that shows different areas of the brain that are affected by music. So, starting from the bottom left, there's the nucleus and the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, the motor cortex, the corpus callosum, sensory cortex, auditory cortex, the hippocampus, visual cortex, as well as the cerebellum. And they just show all the corresponding physiological effects that happen with the brain and music. So we're looking at two studies today. One is a functional MRI study of happy and sad emotions in music with and without lyrics. And the second study is one that investigates cardiovascular, cerebrovascular, and respiratory changes induced by different types of music in musicians and non-musicians. So we'll go to the first study. And what they found through the fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging, it showed that sad lyrics, which is highlighted in red at the top, you can see all the different images of the brain. It tended to have greater activation in the inferior temporal gyrus, superior temporal gyrus, the putamen, the cerebellar declive, the cuneus, and the transverse temporal gyrus. So basically, it just shows that the emotions induced by sad music with lyrics, the emotions are experienced more deeply than compared to sad music with no lyrics and happy music with lyrics. The sad music and the lyrics accompanying with it ended up having a lot more activation in these parts of the brain compared to other parts. And so we're going to look at study 2 now. So this is Bernardi's study, and he was looking at how non-musicians and musicians and breathing frequency as well as the tempo and how they are associated with each other. So what he found out was as tempos are increasing, which is the beats per minute, breathing frequency also tends to increase. So if we look at no music, which is pause at the 0 compared to techno or fast, which is on the tempo of 150 beats per minute, the breathing frequency tends to increase as the beats per minute increase. And it was a pretty significant increase too. The p-value was less than 0.05. And some of the other areas that he was studying, the results weren't significant. So this is really important to look at. So some of the proposed recommendations, obviously several studies have shown that different physiological effects are significantly influenced by different types of music, as well as their related tempos and use of lyrics or instrumentals. Obviously, in the future, experimental studies that are examining music and its physiological effects on the body, they should really try to double blind their studies and randomize it if at all possible, just to decrease any bias from occurring. Also increase the sample size in order to obtain more accurate results. When you have more participants in your study, you can definitely be sure that the results you're getting are accurate and your results are significant. And to also diversify the population being studied, just to see how different populations and their physiological things in the body are affected by different types of music. Getting different groups of people together to investigate this obviously makes all of the claims and results obtained a lot more significant. So some of the reflections that we have is that music can alter our physiological responses due to several areas of the brain actively processing and interpreting the auditory information being presented to us. So for example, with some of the studies that we looked at, the sad music tending to evoke deeper emotional responses rather than happy music with lyrics. And then music with faster tempos significantly increasing our breathing frequency. So music's just really a powerful tool that ends up altering many of our physiological responses and can draw out different emotions depending on the music presented. It's also highly personal, and different styles of music can influence the emotions that are associated with different types that we listen to. So here's our reference list. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks.